I'm here with my good friend Denton Fisher, Dat Charisma King. Is it Dat Charisma King?
Dat Charisma King.
Dat Charisma King.
Gangster.
And they're both with K because, you know, K's are cooler than C's.
I can't
apparently.
spell.
And he's someone, if you see him today, you'd be like, oh man, he's probably always been good with women. He's
It's true.
always slayed.
I'm handsome.
He's always been a slayer, right?
Sexy.
And yeah, and he's got that narcissism that girls like too. So you would think that, right? If you see someone who's really good at something, even if you see it could be a musician, for example. You see them now, you're like, oh, they're probably just born with a gift. They were born playing like super fast solos on the guitar when they were like 3 years old. No, it's just you only see the finished product. And if you understood the journey, all the failures, all the concerts where they made mistakes, all the times where they couldn't play a song, all the times they probably threw a guitar against the wall, all the times they wanted to give up, all the countless hours of hard work and struggle and failure, then you would think maybe I could do something similar to them myself. But without that perspective, it seems impossible. It seems like they're just cut from a different cloth. So I want to give you perspective to him because as far as I know, he used to suck. He used to be terrible. This is what he's told me. I don't know his whole journey. So this is a chance to talk about how he got to where he is now from where he began. So what I want to start with is, what were you like back, let's say in high school, when it came to talking to girls, dating, things like that?
Okay. I'm surprised I actually didn't know this. It's actually one of my more popular videos for a long time. It was like my journey in the pickup scene. So it was actually, a lot of people have the same misconception. I didn't know that until I made that video. I thought everybody saw me as being this like kind of a nerdy guy because I still have that that persona in my head of being like maybe not enough at times, and I can pull that up. And I'm pretty fucking good with girls at this point, but there was a time where I was very all right, I'll put it this way. So if I was talking to somebody, and I mean anybody, even my mother, my sister, my brother, I would my hands would start sweating, I would start shaking. If I actually hated going out to go buy things, and I had massive approach anxiety buying something. So I'd hold my card out and I put it on the table and I slide it because I knew if I held it out, I would shake so bad. It was audible and you could see it. I didn't have any friends. I had one girl flirt with me when I was in 6th grade, and then I fascinated about her for years afterwards, and then fantasized. And I also had another girl that flirted with me when I was in 5th grade, and then I actually fucked her sister last
Not
6
in
months
5th grade.
ago. No, her older sister 6 months ago, and she didn't know, that I had a crush on her little sister.
Revenge of the nerds.
Yeah, actually I had guys back then actually tell me that I was ugly. I had girls and guys tell me back then I was ugly. So
Ouch.
I didn't actually have sex until I was 19, 20. It was with one girl, and she drooled out of both sides of her mouth.
That's hot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually when I started
lubrication, right? That's what it sounds like. She drools out of her mouth.
No, she would go like this all the time. Colleges.
So where'd you do the approaches?
I would go college to college, and I'd keep approaching there until I blew the college out. Basically, I approached 1/3 to half the girls there. Then I'd leave for a year, approach somewhere else, and then come back in a year
So
later.
you went hard right away. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of results were you getting?
I didn't go hard right away. So initially what actually happened was I started working at the mall, and I'd approach maybe one girl every week, and then for the entire week I'd obsess about it, and the entire time I approach a girl, I'd shake, I'd sweat out. I actually didn't wear anything but black shirts because I'd sweat so bad that my armpits would just get stained because I was so nervous to talking to girls.
So what about when you're doing the college approaches?
I started
tearing up the campuses so much that you have to go to different ones.
I started getting because I just did so much mass approaching. At some point, within maybe a couple years into it, I started getting results from the occasional girl, but it was it was 1 in 20 girls I approached, maybe 1 in 30 or 40 girls that would hit me back, and on occasion those girls would be attractive, so all the the normal guys would be like, oh my god, he's getting phone numbers. I was spending maybe hours a day approaching, but I was such a weirdo that I know that I was freaking the girls out. So I actually watched Good Looking Loser, and I walk up to girls and I approach them, and then I start holding her hand mid interaction with them.
That guy's really cringy. If you don't know.
Yeah, and I would hold it, and I would just try to keep the conversation going while I was holding her hand. Then I started trying to hold them, like he said. I tried everything. I tried mystery method, and then I memorized the mystery method, and I got that down, but I did it really creepily. And then I started learning about RSD, and then I started overthinking it. I actually went through an entire period where 2 months I approached, and I got rejected for 2 months straight. I remember I was just I didn't know what was making me attracted to women, what wasn't at that point, and I was writing down field reports and stories and shit. Then I got in a relationship with actually an attractive girl. So she's my 7th and 8th girl I ever had sex with, about 2.5, 3 years in the game. And then here I am be falling apart, becoming a loser again. She started to flirt with other guys and shit. I'm like, fuck. So I started cheating on her behind her back. And then she caught me. And then I went through like 6 months where I was just depressed because I thought this was the only hot girl I'd ever date. And I was like just tearing myself apart. And then at some point I was just so depressed that the depression actually pushed me really hard. I started actually practicing Julian techniques and being really callous, very polarizing. And then some girl gave me a blowjob behind a bush, and I was being an asshole to her. So she went to the cops, said that I forced her to do that to me. And then I was in the newspapers. There was a manhunt out for me because she didn't get my phone number. She didn't remember my name. So all they had was like a video of me. And so I ended up turning myself in. And yeah, I was in the newspapers, allegedly raped, which I hate that fucking word because it basically means like somebody was accused of something. It doesn't mean you did it, but allegedly.
It sounds bad.
But it sounds bad. And I remember I was in there and I didn't know anybody on the outside cared about me. So I was like this, I'm like, I gotta figure out this case on my own, but if I do somehow, they were telling me that because of the Me Too movement, they're trying to put people away. And so I told myself, okay, if I do get convicted, I'm in here for 10 years. There's no way that I'm gonna make anything of myself, and I'm not gonna be a burden on my family. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna twine up, there's like twine, so somebody hid like twine in my jail cell around the mirror stuff. I was thinking about twining it, leaning back on the sink and just like choking myself out like that. They didn't have a camera in the cell. It was like I was in solitary. And so I was like, I'm just gonna choke myself out and kill myself. And so that was the plan. But then like I ended up getting a call, and like my family actually on the outside had pulled together like $10,000, got me the best lawyer, and we ended up not even meeting. But the fact that they cared about me was the first time that I realized that people actually could love me. Well, around this time, I was obsessed with RSD. I listened to their videos on repeat in my car. I downloaded their audios and MP3s. I listened to that instead of music. Every time I was driving anywhere, anytime I was sleeping, I was knocking out. Anytime I was taking a shower, I listened to their stuff on repeat.
Obviously, you were acquitted.
Yeah, I was acquitted. Yeah, they ended up dropping the charges on that part. Well, before that happened, I was actually going to move out to Vegas to work with the immersion crew as a coach. And I sent them in my field reports and stuff saying like, look at me, I'm really good at this shit. I've been helping people out here in Sacramento. I'm known as one of the best in Sacramento. Like, I would love to coach for you guys. And they asked me to come out to do a trial run for a week. I ended up getting one of their guys laid. And then they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll take you on. And during that time, I had so many ups and downs. I was a terrible coach, to be honest. I remember that. Even after the coaching, I was a terrible coach. I mean, I was better than most because I knew kind of what I was doing. But I was not getting my clients as much results as I could have. And I think about that. And I actually still feel bad for the guys that knew me from then. During this time period, too, I was sleeping on an air mattress, which ended up popping at some point. I was sleeping on the floor on a popped air mattress. I ended up getting I actually stayed sick for I didn't stop working, so I was sick for like 3 months straight, and so my voice was ripped up, and because I felt like if I stopped working that I would go homeless. Then at some point, Julian wanted us to come out to do his 10-game product.
Yeah.
We went out to there to do his 10-game product, and I thought it was hot shit by this point because there was 2 coaches that were the best coaches. It was me and another guy, and I was like, man, I'm the shit. Anyways, I go out and we meet up with Julian. Blew my fucking head off. He was so much better than me after all these years I spent in this shit and like doing nothing but this. And I was like, fuck, he's kicking my ass.
Yeah.
He mopped the floor with me. And I still think about that to this day. It's actually my big goal is to be better than him. And eventually they ended up like getting me out of the program, and I was hella pissed off, and I had a huge chip on my shoulder because I put so much effort in this, and see guys online that didn't really care about this, who just cared about marketing and making money, and I got mad about it. And so I started hustling on YouTube for like a couple of years of doing nothing, going out and approaching every day, going out and like there was times where we had clickers where we'd approach like hundreds of girls a day, just click, 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 writing field reports, thinking about how am I fucking up, how am I getting better, taking on coaching clients for little to nothing, trying to see how could I improve their results. And 2 years into it, I started getting more popular. I started figuring it out. And then from there, it's just been like a big roller coaster from then. Like I'm not gonna get too much because I know it's already such a long thing. At some point, like I was hanging out with like Daniel, the salesman guy. He ended up taking me out into the desert, and we ended up doing some Molly and acid, and I ended up ODing, having a heart attack.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know about this?
You never told me this.
No.
In the desert, so how do you survive that?
What ended up happening was that I tried driving at first because I didn't know what was going on, and I couldn't drive, and I ran into a bush, and then he gets in the driver's seat. And then what ended up happening was that I was, if you want to hear the story, I pulled my chair back because I was afraid of a cop seeing me, because I was still super massively afraid of cops, and I was whacked out. I couldn't see color, and so I could only see black and white, and I started kind of like going in and out of consciousness. And then I remember I was looking at the sun in black and white, and I was looking at it, and I was like, dude, for the love of God, please don't die, because if I die, my mom's gonna blame herself for this shit, and I'll be a loser, and I'll be labeled a loser for the rest of my life. I didn't care about the fact I was gonna die. I was worrying about how my mom was gonna look at this. And then I remember my chest got tight, and I couldn't move because my stomach started, like, I couldn't like bend my stomach. and then I started seizuring. I remember I woke up and my hand was flying in front of my face, and then my chest got tight again, and then I blacked out again, and then I came to. And at the time too, anytime I woke back up, I was trying to put down water because I thought it was the water. I thought I was dehydrated. But upon looking at the symptoms afterwards, what was going on was it was a heart attack. I was having a heart attack.
Did you go to the hospital?
No, the guy thought that it was because of the acid. Now in retrospect, the guy's a little bit of a sociopath.
Yeah, no offense. Screw that guy, because if someone's dying, you take them to the fucking hospital.
He thought that I was
just. He
thought I was tweaking, and he's trying to get me to calm down. But it wasn't like the fact that I was tweaking. It was the fact that I was having a heart attack.
Someone's seizuring and can't see color and shit. Like.
Yeah. It was just a single time. So what happened was that I was going through a bad depression. The guy goes, "Hey, don't even worry about it. Come out to the desert. I'm used to taking these drugs. I'll make sure that you get the right amount, shit like that." He didn't. 6 months later, the guy that took me out there, he OD'd. And then I actually had another close friend of mine within a week of his, one of my best friends, get in a car accident while they were out driving. He had put on a seatbelt, he flew through the windshield and hit the cliff. And I literally just seen that guy literally a month and a half before that. And I was on a boot camp at the time. I had to cancel the boot camp, and I was on the ground crying outside of excess. I was sobbing.
What did you take from that experience?
I don't know. I felt like I didn't do enough to help him out in a way. So I always told him that when I popped off on this and I got enough money that I was going to take them on a trip, and we're all going to go to what I want to do is actually go to there was this moon party across the seas, in a rave, and I said I'm going to fly all of us out there. We're going to all go out and we're all going to party out there, and that's what I wanted to do. And at the time I was still broke, and I was mad because I was in a relationship with a girl, and I felt like it was holding me back. And at that point I broke it off with her. I got a place with my boy Archer, and then I ended up staying there for the next couple years, 3 years, working on my game and my business. I don't know, the girl I was dating at the time, she was trying to calm me down. I was in the seat, and I was literally just sobbing. I was really embarrassed. So I remember she was driving me home after the boot camp, and I had pulled the seat back so nobody could see me cry again. And I was just I couldn't stop crying. I remember I kept saying the word why too, weirdo. But I felt really bad about it, honestly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, this got more intense than I was expecting.
I don't really talk about it too much. Yeah.
Well, it's healthy too. One of the, this isn't where I expected this to go.
Nowadays, you and me are so tight in this shit. So, you're one of the few guys that I've ever met who has the same energy about the game, about this shit. It's just as passionate about it. I didn't do this because I thought that I'd actually improve. I did this because I was actually hopeless. I thought that there was going to be nothing for me. I was actually planning I was going to die by 30 is what I was thinking in my head, up till maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. And it actually became a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's actually why I think that I OD'd. I think in some level I actually want to kill myself. Yeah, it's a weird level of suicide. It's you're too much of a bitch. It's when you want to break up with a girl, or you're too much of a bitch so you sabotage it until the girl breaks up with you in a way. Yeah. It's the same thing. You're too much of a bitch to kill yourself, but on some level you do want to die. And then you end up making a self-fulfilling prophecy out of it. It's on some level you're trying to kill yourself. The game pretty much gave me everything in my life. Doing this shit, it's actually why I'm so intense and passionate about it. I think about it all the time. There's not a day that goes by where I don't think about ways to improve results for the business, for myself, for my game and my abilities to approach and attract women. I'm always thinking about this shit because of this, because the things led up to this. And I think about it this way. I started off thinking that I was never gonna have any friends. I was never going to get a girl into me. I was actually, the only reason I got into the game wasn't because I thought that I could get more, a lot of women. It's because I wanted one girl, to trick one girl into me, because I thought I had to trick a girl into me. And I was gonna snare her, yeah. And now having the results that I have where dude, there's not a day that we don't go out almost where we don't have options to take home, nowadays. And that's nuts. And there's it's almost what you see in movies, the shit that we do. That's what I think about. It's we're in a video game where it's we're James Bond, that's shit that a superhero does almost. So for the people that are watching this, right now, if you guys are in that level of pain, that we've experienced, it's actually honestly a blessing in disguise. You just had, the thing that I got told when I was younger, it was actually told by my mom. My mom actually had a pretty traumatic childhood, and she told me that moments pass. Sometimes your life's just gonna feel like you're in the shit. And when you're in the shit, when you're in that depression, when you're in that deep depression or that deep level of just the pits, you don't know you're ever gonna come out. You think you're just stuck there forever. And that's actually what makes you want to commit suicide in a way, because you think you're never gonna get out of this. The truth of the matter is that life varies. Life is up and down. It never is stagnant. So coming from the place that life never is the same, like at some point you're gonna come out. At some point, either by your own choice or by just the way that life works, by the chaos of life. So right now you might be in the pits and it might fucking suck, but at some point, if you persevere through this and you just accept it and just like learn to become accepting to it, at some point, just by becoming non-resistant to it, that which you resist persists, your life will slowly pull yourself out of this. It's like, for me, it was like the depression actually I realized I was doing to myself. All this shit that happened, it was me doing it to me. It wasn't like that life was just hitting me for no reason. I did all this shit to myself. And if you're in that kind of place, you got to realize that you're actually doing this on some level to yourself. You want this to happen because you think you're deserving of this.
Yeah.
You think you're deserving of nothing less than pain.
See me running out that door cause I'm gone. Bitch, so long, I promise you that.